This, everyone, is my new Yamaha MT-09. Well, at least it's new to me. This is the 2022 model, and today is my first commute with this bike. I literally bought it yesterday towards end of play. I rode it a little bit last night, and today I'm going to be riding it to work for the very first time. So let's jump on and let's go. Yes, everyone, it's true. This is going to be the bike that is replacing my Kawasaki ZH2. Now, to some of you, that might seem, well, this might seem like a downgrade, but trust me, it really isn't in the ways you might think. Honestly, man, I've only been riding this bike for, well, maybe I had a couple of hours, because I had quite a long, I say quite a long, it was an hour's ride back from the dealer yesterday evening, and yeah, we had quite a busy evening after that, so didn't get as much time to ride it as I would have liked yesterday. But even in that short amount of time, honestly, this bike is insane, you guys. It is so much fun. Now, we will be doing our ride review of this bike. We did do a ride review last year on the 2023 Yamaha MT-09, but for some reason this feels like a totally different beast. Woo! That's the traction control on. My goodness. What's funny about this is that I was really sad to let my ZH2 go yesterday. I threw that in as part exchange on this bike, and I really thought I'd be disappointed by this afterwards, because that, well, it was one of my favourite motorcycles, if not my favourite bike, the Kawasaki ZH2. And, you know, when you look at the spec sheet of this bike and the price and all that kind of stuff, you really think it's going to be a bit of a downgrade. And to be honest, in some respects, it is a bit of a downgrade. No cruise control on this bike, whereas they came as standard on the ZH2s, even the base model that I had. But apart from that, really, and maybe a slightly smaller TFT dash, but apart from that, to be honest, you guys, this bike is nearly an upgrade in every single way, even over the likes of the Kawasaki ZH2. And despite the fact that, well, it's producing a lot more horsepower and a lot more torque than the MT-09 here, it doesn't feel like it, you guys. It feels like a much closer competition than you might think. Now, I'll leave like the whole 0 to 60 stuff to when we do our official ride review, but this bike is very quick, and it's got that CP3 engine, the crossplane, classic 889cc engine from Yamaha, the triple. Honestly, any engine, any bike with this engine rather, is amazing. I mean, I loved it on the MT-09, I loved it on the XSR 900 GP. It's just an amazing engine. It really is. And some people might scoff at that, but honestly, you guys ride it. You ride this bike. Yeah, you ride it and then come back to me. Because this, I don't know why anyone would sell this bike. I know that time kind of expires, I suppose, with a lot of these bikes. I get it. But, and the previous owner, they really rode it. This is only 3 years old, you guys. It's 3 years old in August, right? So it's not even 3 years old yet. It was first registered in August 2022. And it's done 19,000 miles. So I think there's 2 previous owners, But both of those owners, they really rode this bike. They really thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm not surprised. I mean, maybe their finance just run out on it, so a bit like me and the H2, you just kind of have to sell it, because otherwise, yeah, you're going to have quite another big loan to pay. But honestly, man, this isn't that far off my old H2. When I say old H2, you know what I mean. My ZH2 in terms of just overall grunt, torque and power. This bike is crazy, man. I don't know what kind of magic Yamaha have been able to concoct with this bike, but it's absolute magic. And again, you look at the spec sheet, as I said on the 2023 MT-09, it really doesn't do it justice. This bike feels like it's doing at least 160 horsepower and well over 100 Newton meters of torque, but it isn't. I think it's producing just about 100 Newton meters of torque, if I remember correctly, and like 120 horsepower, I think, off the top of my head. And the previous owner has installed this new exhaust, which sounds pretty good, to be honest. I mean, it's so easy, you guys, when you can just roll on the throttle like that. And you pick up the front end. What an awesome wheelie bike. Yeah, even in the short time I've had it, yeah, I've been pulling some huge wheelies. They love it, these things. They love to wheelie. But I mean, this is the funny thing, you guys. When we did our ride review of the 2023 MT-09, I remember it being very good. I don't remember it being this good. So I'm wondering if the 2022 model is tuned slightly differently, or I don't know, the way how the traction control and the wheelie control has been configured might be a little bit different. I don't know, because this bike is allowing me to pick up the front end a lot more than the 2023 bike. It might just be in my head. There might be a setting that I've adjusted on this, which has allowed me to pick up the front end a little bit more than in the previous bike. But my goodness, you guys. Yesterday, I was so giddy. Because motorway riding, that's boring. Riding on roads like this is where this bike is meant to be. So, like, yeah, it felt fine on the motorway, but it was when I got it off the motorway is when I really started experiencing this bike at its fullest. My goodness. Like, I bought this over my ZH2, you guys. That's the impression that it's left on me. And I did say, around about this time last year, maybe a little bit earlier than this time last year, I did say I will be buying an MT-09. I didn't know when, I didn't know where, but I would be buying one. Turns out, I bought one a little bit sooner than maybe even I was expecting, because there was a couple of other bikes I was looking at, you guys, I'm not going to lie. There was an MT-10 that I was looking at, which was a little bit more expensive than this. It was a 2022 model, sorry, excuse me, a 2020 model. So it had the old style dashboard, and I very, very nearly pulled the trigger on that bike. But because it didn't have the colour dash, I decided to let that one go, because I didn't want that much of a downgrade over the H2, you know. But yeah, so I ended up walking away from that one, and I also looked at a Triumph Speed Triple Double R, the 1200 one. This is also a 2021 or a 2022 model I was looking at, and I really wanted that bike. So much so I was willing to drive at least a couple of hours to pick it up to go see it. But unfortunately, the dealership, they sent me a video of it, and it looked in terrible condition. Considering this was just a 2021 bike, it was in awful condition. It had no service history at all. So I kind of felt like that was a bit of a red flag for me. So yeah, I ended up just walking away from that one. And sometimes, doesn't matter how excited you are about a bike, you've got to walk away if you know that something funny is going on. The crazy thing is, it was really cheap. It was going for seriously cheap. It was £7,500. And bearing in mind that bike from new was £20,000 or thereabouts, 19 grand, 20 grand. So you know, it's a flagship bike from Triumph. It really is. But it probably would have been okay if I decided to commit to it, but it just didn't feel like the right purchase for me at the time. And I am going to continue looking for a Speed Triple Double R, because I was considering in the end just biting my tongue and going for the Speed Triple RS instead, the cheaper variant. But again, I didn't want to miss out on electronically adjustable suspension and the look as well. I think the look of the Speed Triple Double R is nicer than the RS, maybe by just a little bit, not worlds apart. But yeah, I really had my heart set on that bike, and as soon as they sent me the video, I was bitterly disappointed. And then I ended up spending about nearly 2 weeks just like contemplating and just like trying to figure out what it is I wanted to do. What bike did I want? Because there were hardly any MT-10s apart from the one that I was looking at initially that I walked away from. There were hardly any of those Speed Triple Double Rs. So I was kind of stuck. And then one day I just said to my wife, I was just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to buy an MT-09. And I just went for it, because it turns out that the price of these, I mean, from new, you guys, they're less than 10 grand, which is crazy. It's such amazing bang for buck for these bikes. But I picked this bike up all in for less than 6 grand, and I paid cash for it. I paid upfront everything for it, so I don't have any finance. I don't have any financial commitments to this bike. It's all mine. And I'm so happy about that, because also next month is when my ZR 1400's finance is up. So, and I would have paid that bike off because I bought that on hire purchase. So like, I won't have any finance agreements on any cars, on any bikes, nothing. I'll own them outright, which is awesome. Yeah, it's a great state to be in, because every single month I'd be saving an absolute fortune on monthly payments, and it gives me a little bit of wiggle room later down the line when I do want to commit to a Speed Triple Double R that is maybe in slightly better condition than the one I was originally looking at, maybe about 10 grand or so. Yeah, that's an option that I have now in the near future. But okay, I mean, I don't want to give too much away about this bike. I want to leave it for the ride reviews and the other videos that we shoot on it. This is just a bit of a teaser. But why didn't I buy an MT-10? Why did I buy one of these? I could have afforded MT-10, and I was really committed to the MT-10. The only reason wasn't because it had an older dashboard. This had a newer dashboard than the MT-10 I was looking at. Because MT-10, you guys, it's also a great bike. Arguably, in some ways, better than an MT-09. But the crazy thing is that the MT-09 really isn't that far off. In terms of riding experience, it really isn't far off. I mean, maybe 1 percentage point off the MT-10. There really isn't much in it, and for the price, it's ridiculous, you guys. The value for money, the amount of bike that you're getting on the MT-09. And the MT-10, you guys, is holding its value a hell of a lot more than the MT-09 is. they're going, you know, for a 2020 model, 2021 model, you're looking at least 10 grand. And that's just for an MT-10. That's not for an SP or anything special. That's just for an MT-10. And almost half that price, you could pick up one of these. Just mad. And that's the thing. Don't worry about high mileage, you guys. This bike has nearly got 20,000 miles on the clock after nearly 3 years. Don't be put off by it. It's still a new bike. You know, as long as it's had its servicing done, which this bike has, it's had it serviced at the correct intervals, and it had a new service just before they handed it over to me. Don't be put off by a bike that's got a decent amount of mileage from new, and you're the second or third owner, because you could be saving yourself an absolute fortune. Genuinely, you could be saving yourself a load of money buying a bike that is still pretty much brand spanking new, but it's got a little bit more mileage on it than average, than you're expecting. You know, the average is less than 3,000 miles a year, so this is double the average mileage in 3 years. But don't be surprised, because a lot of these bikes, you guys, people ride them to death. They absolutely love them. Even going back to like 2015, 2016, 2013. I mean, Yamaha have been making this bike for so long. It's an instant classic, this bike. It really is. And it's a proper enthusiast bike, you guys. If you haven't ridden one, you're not going to know what I'm talking about here. Alright? This is genuinely that good. I bought this over a ZH2. It's just mad. It's a mad thing to say. But I was seriously contemplating keeping my H2. And it would have been for another 4 more years, because I would have had to pay for it on finance. I chose to sell it, and I chose to buy one of these. And I don't regret that decision at all, one bit. No regret whatsoever buying this. It's an awesome bike. It really is. And enthusiast, like I say, this is an enthusiast bike. Because most people, they'll look at the spec sheet and they'll be like, they'll scoff at it. You know, that's not that impressive. A Z900 is making more horsepower. Trust me, this is better than a Z900, because I could have just picked up a Z900, because they're fantastic bikes as well in their own right. But you expect them to be good. This, you don't expect them to be as good as they are, and they're genuinely great. First class, elite level bikes. And Yamaha are selling them so cheap. It's unreal. So cheap that they've had to put this engine in other bikes that are more valuable. And let's get one thing clear, you guys, just before we finish off this video. If the R9 hadn't have been delayed, I would have bought that instead. No question. I would have bought a Yamaha R9 instead, a 2025 brand spanking new R9. But because they were delayed until October, I didn't have that time on the H2 finance to wait, unfortunately. I would have loved to have waited. But then again, though, actually, would I? Because then you're already into autumn, then you're past the riding season, or towards the back end of the riding season. Would that have been a good call? And arguably not, to be honest. Oh my goodness, you guys. This bike is crazy fun. And yeah, okay, it's not the nicest bike that Yamaha make, but to be honest, I don't mind the look of it. It looks alright, especially with that aftermarket exhaust. Sounds great, looks great. I mean, if that's the only criticism, my god, you're onto an absolute winner, you guys. No question. Oh. I gotta get into work, but I don't want to. I just want to ride this all day. Genuinely. This is a crazy bike. Crazy bike. I went from a crazy bike to a bike that somehow is less crazy. Oh, speed triple. Or street triple, maybe. Yeah, street triple. Yeah, it's less crazy, but at the same time more crazy. It's such a weird, amazing bike, this, you guys. Thank you ever so much for joining us on our teaser ride out on the 2022 Yamaha MT-09. I can't wait to shoot more videos with this, and more videos are going to come very, very soon, alright? So make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and that notification bell so you don't miss them. But thank you again ever so much for watching today, you guys. You take care, you ride safe. We'll catch you all in the next video. Have a good one.